Welcome to today's deep dive. We have a really fascinating stack of material today.
We really do. It's pretty dark stuff.
Oh yeah, very dark. We are looking at a collection of dark fantasy texts, some fictional folklore, and these really intricate histories centered around, well, a single terrifying entity.
Right.
But the core question driving this deep dive isn't just about, what this creature does.
Yeah.
It is about how a universally beloved ruler becomes a monster and how she eventually weaponizes her own trauma against anyone who crosses her path.
Yeah, it's a remarkable psychological study, honestly, just disguised as fantasy.
Totally.
Because usually, when you read about a haunted ruin or a cursed forest, the villain is just a force of nature, like a dragon or a demon, something that's just inherently malicious.
Right, they're just bad to be bad.
Exactly. But here we are looking at the tragedy of a ruler who fell from grace. And to really understand the scope of what she becomes, there are two specific, chilling phrases from the source material.
Oh yes, these are so good.
They really perfectly encapsulate her many aspects. The first is a tragic confession she makes in a ballroom, which is, "I remember the days when I was called Empress Luminia."
Okay, that right there immediately changes the context for me.
How so?
Well, she is fully aware of what she has lost. She isn't just, mindlessly haunting a space. She is mourning.
Precisely. She knows exactly what's happening. And that awareness leads to the second phrase, which is an ominous warning she delivers to those who wander into her domain.
Hit me with it.
She says, "You look remembered."
Ugh, you look remembered. That just sends a shiver down my spine.
It's so unsettling, right?
It really is. It sounds almost polite on the surface, but in the context of these sources, being remembered is definitely not a comfort. It sounds like a threat.
Oh, it is the ultimate threat. Because this lore explores what happens when a human being becomes entirely consumed by their own unresolved pain.
Wow.
Yeah. So we are going to step into the shadows of the gnarly woods and eventually the echoing halls of a place called Northmoor.
To see how the weight of the past can literally, physically trap a person.
Yes, and how that trapped person then tries to pull everyone else into the exact same cage.
Okay, let's start with her origin. Because the scale of her fall is what makes the trauma so deep.
Right, you have to know where she started.
Exactly. Before she was this multi-faced specter known as the Phantom Queen, she was Empress Luminea. And the folklore describes her as a genuinely unparalleled leader.
Oh, completely. We are talking about a golden age. She was the architect of an era of profound harmony.
Which is rare in these kinds of stories.
Very rare. The texts describe her as a sovereign whose compassion and wisdom brought real prosperity to a deeply fractured kingdom.
And what I found most telling about her character during this golden age is her dynamic with her husband.
Oh, the Hierophant. Yeah.
Yeah. She didn't marry for, political leverage or anything. She elevated a gentle, kind-hearted duke's son to the station of Hierophant.
Right, and it's important to note she didn't name him emperor.
Why is that?
Well, she didn't want him dealing with the brutal machinations of statecraft. She wanted to protect him from that. So together, they guided the realm to unprecedented heights. It was a partnership built on genuine love.
Which, of course, sets the stage for a catastrophic collapse.
Naturally.
Because tragedy strikes. Her husband dies suddenly. And the sources describe the fallout not just as a period of personal mourning, but as a systemic environmental collapse.
It's so dramatic. A vast, unrelenting shadow just descends.
Literally. The land withers, crops fail, the rivers run dry. Her grief manifests physically across the entire kingdom. And then, as if things aren't bad enough, invaders threaten the borders.
And here is where the narrative takes its really dark turn.
Yeah, things go completely off the rails here.
They do. The folklore claims that instead of protecting her people from these invaders, she snapped.
Just totally lost it.
Yeah. The stories say she offered her own citizens in chains as tribute to the approaching armies.
That's awful.
All while barricading herself away, clutching her crown jewels, just hiding in the dark.
But the people around her, they don't just sit back and watch this happen, right?
Sure.
Her own family, her closest advisors, and her lifelong servants turn against her.
They commit a full mutiny.
Right. They lock her inside her own bedchamber, basically transforming this room of opulent silk and gold into a high-security prison cell.
A gilded cage.
Exactly. And she paces the floors like a caged beast. Her mind twists deeper into darkness with each passing season, watching from the window as others rule in her stead.
It's just a miserable existence.
And she dies entirely alone, breathing a final venomous curse upon everyone who betrayed her.
No, that is the accepted history.
Right. The official story.
But if we analyze the mechanics of what actually happened, it looks less like a righteous rebellion and more like an autoimmune response in the kingdom.
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it. An autoimmune response.
Yeah, because the very people who were meant to protect the heart of the empire turned on it. They isolated the infection, which was the queen's agonizing grief. And by locking it away in the dark, they caused it to mutate into something far, far worse.
You know, I'm looking at how these sources frame her supposed tyranny, and I have a serious deduction to make here.
Let's hear it.
Was she actually a tyrant at the end who sold out her people? Or is that just the convenient, sanitized story that her betrayers fabricated to justify locking her away and seizing power?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because, I mean, she went crazy and tried to sell us out? Sounds exactly like the kind of propaganda a mutinous royal court would write to cover up a coup.
This is a brilliant point, and the texts deliberately leave it ambiguous. History is, after all, written by the mutineers.
True.
The objective truth of her final days is just hopelessly blurred by time and the self-serving narratives of the people who took her throne.
Right, we can't really know for sure.
We can't. But what is absolutely undeniable is the emotional reality of her end. Whether she was a genuine tyrant or the victim of a ruthless coup, her rage, her humiliation, and her vengeful spirit were so intensely powerful.
They literally bound her soul to the palace stones.
Yes, she became the Phantom Queen, sustained entirely by spite.
Just pure, unfiltered spite. And that spite seeps into the very architecture of the fallen queen's palace, which fundamentally changes the kind of danger she presents.
Absolutely.
If we look at how that trauma weaponizes itself, we have to look at the fate of an archaeologist or, well, really a tomb robber named Tasha.
Yes, Tasha's story is horrifying. Centuries pass, right? The palace falls into complete ruin within the gnarly woods and becomes a magnet for scavengers.
Like Tasha.
Exactly. Now, normally when a tomb robber enters an ancient ruin, they are looking out for physical traps.
Sure, like crumbling floors, poison darts.
Maybe a wild beast that has made a den in the treasury. But the Phantom Queen doesn't operate in the physical realm. She operates entirely through psychological warfare.
Yeah, she separates Tasha from the rest of her crew, and she doesn't drop a chandelier on her. She doesn't summon a horde of skeletons.
No, nothing like that.
The queen weaponizes Tasha's own deepest unspoken insecurities.
This is where it gets so insidious.
It really does. Because Tasha is someone whose ambitions have decayed into a darker trade, mainly because she feels the world has never given her the respect she deserves.
Right, she feels completely undervalued.
And the Phantom Queen hones in on that instantly. Spectral attendants appear out of the shadows, offering phantom jewels and whispering these incredibly seductive, toxic things.
Oh, the whispers are the worst part.
They say, "Aren't you tired of being overlooked? Don't you deserve to be seen?"
To understand the sheer horror of this, we have to look at the mechanism of the magic. How does a simple illusion bypass the survival instincts of a hardened tomb robber?
Yeah, because Tasha is no rookie.
Right. The magic works by hijacking the brain's reward center. It doesn't just overwrite Tasha's vision, it floods her mind with the precise emotional validation she has lacked her entire life.
Wow.
Her rational brain completely shuts down because the emotional high of finally being seen and worshipped, it just overrides her basic instinct to survive.
The sensory details in the text here are incredible. Tasha is offered a golden diadem, dream-spun robes, diamonds that seem to, sing.
It's a beautiful illusion.
Yeah, in her own mind, Tasha is gliding forward with imperial grace, accepting the recognition and legacy she believes she has always been owed.
But the physical reality,
Oh man, the reality.
what is actually happening in that room is so gruesome it turns your stomach.
Yeah, tell them what actually happens.
The contrast is just horrifying. While her mind experiences absolute grandeur, her actual physical body is stumbling through a decrepit, dusty chamber like a broken marionette.
A total mess.
She is a drooling, twitching wretch, pawing at empty air, grasping at phantom riches, until she literally crawls off the edge of a chasm and is lost forever.
It's so bleak. The Phantom Queen doesn't destroy you. She offers you the illusion of everything you ever wanted, and you happily destroy yourself reaching for it.
Exactly. You do the work for her. And this transitions us perfectly into how the Queen's magic interacts with different types of trauma. Because Tasha failed because she was driven by unfulfilled desire.
Right, the need to be seen.
But what happens when the Queen encounters profound grief versus, say, deep-seated resentment? This is where the encounters with our main heroes, Eleanor and Jack, become so revealing.
Let's look at Eleanor first. Eleanor is the protector of the kingdom, and she carries an immense amount of trauma over her father's tragic death.
She feels totally responsible.
She blames herself. So when Eleanor confronts the Phantom Queen, the Queen tries the exact same tactics she used on Tasha. She tries to feed on Eleanor's guilt.
She croons to her.
Yeah, offering relief from the chains of that guilt, promising a reality where the pain is just gone if she simply gives in to the illusion.
But Eleanor survives.
She does. How does she manage that when Tasha couldn't?
Well, Eleanor survives because her trauma is rooted in grief, and she is actually willing to accept the reality of that grief.
Right, she doesn't run from it.
Exactly. She physically grips the hilt of her sword, using the cold, hard metal as a grounding, tactile anchor to reality.
Grounding herself.
Yes. She stares down the illusion and says, "No one can ever truly undo what damage we have wrought." She accepts the pain. She refuses the fantasy of a clean slate.
You know, the notes from the author draw a really interesting parallel here to ancient Eastern philosophy to explain exactly how Eleanor breaks the spell.
Oh, I loved that part of the source material.
Lovely.
Yes, the notes draw a direct parallel to ancient Advaita Vedanta philosophy.
Right, specifically the teachings of the 8th century philosopher Shankara.
Exactly. It is the concept of neti, which translates roughly to not this, not this.
Like this, not this. I love that.
It is a practice of systematic negation. You look at an emotion, a trauma, or a physical sensation, and you realize, I'm the one observing this feeling, therefore I am not the feeling itself.
Oh, wow. That is powerful.
It really is. So Eleanor strips away the false illusions of her trauma by recognizing her core self exists entirely separate from her pain.
She witnesses her trauma. She accepts that she caused damage, but she refuses to let it define her entire existence.
And that profound self-awareness just shatters the Queen's glamour.
Okay, hold on, though. Because if that is how Eleanor survives by accepting her grief, then Jack's encounter is completely terrifying.
Oh, Jack's encounter is incredibly tense.
Because if the Queen's magic is most dangerous when it encounters someone who refuses to process their trauma,
Right.
and Jack's trauma is rooted in deep resentment and feeling cast aside,
Right.
is the text implying he actually enjoys the illusion she shows him? Because the Queen shows him a vision of his own village, Lakeside, being burned to ash by her curse.
Yes.
The buildings are leveled, the people are turned to vapor.
The text implies exactly that. He enjoys it. And it changes Jack from a hero into a massive liability in that moment.
Wait, he actually smiled.
He felt a profound sense of satisfaction. The Phantom Queen whispers to him, "I see in you what I saw within myself."
Oh, that is so dark.
She nearly seduces Jack not with riches, but by validating his hidden, deeply buried bitterness.
Because Jack has always felt like the outsider.
Exactly. He feels misrepresented and disregarded while others get the glory. So the Phantom Queen offers him the ultimate revenge fantasy, the power to completely destroy those who overlooked him.
So he feels a perverse satisfaction seeing his home burn. She weaponizes his resentment by making him feel like a god of vengeance.
That almost works, too. Jack is right on the razor's edge of total corruption, completely paralyzed by her grip.
What saves him?
It is only at the very last second, when his mind flickers to the faces of the specific individuals he actually loves, his family, his innocent companions, that the fog lifts.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, he pulls back from the brink just in time.
But it was close.
Too close. It proves that the Queen's power isn't in her raw magical strength, it is in our secrets. It is in the dark, ugly thoughts we refuse to admit we have.
Which brings us to the final and honestly most tragic aspect of the Phantom Queen. Because we've established how she weaponizes trauma against others, but we haven't fully explored how that trauma traps her.
Right, she's a victim here too.
She isn't just a screaming phantom in a ruined forest. The sources take us to a completely different location. The haunting, eternal ballroom at an estate called Northmoor.
This is such a fascinating shift in the lore. Here, a character named Tobias Gray encounters her not as a decaying wraith, but as the chillingly elegant Lady Mavienne, the host of the masquerade Eternal.
Lady Mavienne.
Yes. And the sensory details here are just mesmerizing. The dancers in the ballroom are all moving in an endless looping 3/4 time.
Like a broken record.
Exactly. They are essentially trapped souls waltzing forever. And she raises her goblet and speaks that first focus phrase we discussed earlier. She says, "I remember the days when I was called Empress Luminea, but now I rule over echoes, not people."
It is such a devastating image. A sovereign who still has her throne, who still wears her crown, but her empire has been reduced to a single room full of empty masks and endless regret.
She is just as trapped as the people she haunts.
Truly.
She's the ultimate victim of her own magic. At Northmoor, we learn about the concept of the ledger.
The ledger. Okay, explain this because this is crucial.
So the house itself keeps accounts of trauma, of guilt, of unresolved memory. Lady Mavienne approaches Tobias Gray and she holds up a tarnished silver mirror.
But it doesn't show his true reflection, does it?
No, it doesn't. She looks at him and delivers that second chilling phrase. The place has seen your face. You look remembered.
There it is. You look remembered. We actually saw a version of this earlier in the lore, didn't we?
We did.
When the spectral wisps in the forest spoke to the character Maria and told her she looked remembered. So explain the mechanism of the ledger here. Why is being remembered by this house the worst thing that can happen to you?
Because in the logic of this world, memory without confession curdles.
Curdles, like bad milk.
Exactly. If you hold on to your trauma, your guilt, your bitterness, if you don't process it and release it using that nutty concept Eleanor used, it becomes a shadow.
So it just festers inside you.
Yes. Being remembered by the ledger means the house has recognized that shadow within you. It has cataloged your unspoken regrets, and it has trapped your soul to balance its books.
That is horrifying.
Lady Mavienne offers Tobias a mask, telling him, "Kings rule, sovereigns endure." She wants him to inherit the wound of Northmoor.
Wait, she wants him to take her place.
Yes, because she is exhausted by her own narrative, but she literally cannot let it go.
She is the ultimate manifestation of being unable to move forward.
Precisely.
She is so trapped in the ledger of her past, in the betrayal she suffered in that silk and gold bedchamber, that she forces everyone who enters her domain to dance to the rhythm of her old regrets.
She can't heal, so she pulls everyone else backward into her stasis.
So if we synthesize all these aspects, the benevolent Empress Luminea, the vengeful phantom in the ruins, and the elegant, trapped Lady Mavienne at the masquerade, what does it all mean?
She is a monument to what happens when we let our past traumas completely define our present. She went from being the ruler of a literal golden age to becoming the curator of a museum of pain.
And this brings us to why this deep dive matters so much to you listening to this right now.
It's very applicable.
It really is. Because we all have our own ledgers. We all carry grudges, memories of past betrayals, moments where we felt deeply overlooked like Tasha, or, unappreciated and resentful like Jack.
Everyone has that shadow.
Yeah, we all have that shadow. And the Queen's story is holding up a mirror to us.
It forces us to ask a difficult question. Are we letting those unhealed memories turn us into phantoms?
Right.
The danger isn't just that holding on to grudges is bad for you. The real danger, the true horror of Lady Mavienne, is the addictive comfort of playing the victim in your own narrative.
Oof, that's a hard truth.
It is intoxicating to sit on a throne of your own trauma, ruling over your resentments, because it means you never have to do the hard work of moving forward.
Exactly. It is so much easier to waltz with ghosts in an empty ballroom than it is to walk out the front door and face the uncertain future. Eleanor had the courage to look at her ledger and close it. She accepted that the past could not be undone, but refused to let it dictate her future.
And the alternative is to become Lady Mavienne, offering masks to strangers so you don't have to be alone in your misery.
Man, that is bleak.
There is one final, incredibly provocative thought from the source material that synthesizes this entire exploration.
Oh, lay it on us.
It is a cryptic warning from a character known as the Earl, hidden deep in a library text regarding the nature of haunted spaces. He writes, "They remember what we forget."
They remember what we forget. Wow. It implies that the pain we refuse to process, the resentments we bury deep down, they don't just vanish.
No, they don't.
They sink into the walls. They linger in the spaces we inhabit.
The ledger is always keeping score, whether we actively acknowledge it or not.
So think about the spaces you inhabit right now. Think about the rooms you've lived in, the offices you've worked in, the homes you've built.
Yeah.
What if they are silently absorbing every unspoken regret? What if, somewhere in the dark corners of your own life, your forgotten memories are just waiting, holding a tarnished silver mirror, patiently waiting for you to return to the dance?